Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and it is time for another set of weekly meals, and of course Michaela is excited. So we're going to be making this corned beef breakfast casserole. Thought I would try something different. I'm going to be spraying my 9x13 with avocado oil, and then we're going to layer in the hash browns and corned beef hash. Michaela loves this stuff, so I thought that I would try something a little bit different. We'll see how it goes. Of course, we have cheese and eggs. We have a orange mini pepper. We have a banana pepper fresh from my neighbor's garden, some scallions cut up, and some onion. So we're layering in everything, the potatoes and the corned beef hash, and then I'm just going to sprinkle the green onions or scallions over the top with the other onions and the peppers. You know, whatever you've got in your kitchen, just use it. There's really no wrong answer. I love some of the dishes that we've had, are just things that I've thrown together and they've been our favorites. So just work with what you have. So then next you're going to add 10 beaten eggs. You can add a little cream to this if you would like to. But then I'm going to be topping it with some shredded Swiss cheese because that's what I have right now. And then I'm going to put that in the oven for 350 for 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And look how gooey and cheesy this is. This ended up being so delicious, and I was nervous to put any salt in it because of the corned beef hash, but you're definitely going to want to add some salt over the top of your potatoes and what other seasonings you would like, ground mustard, pepper, any seasonings you would like on top of the potatoes before you add everything else on the top to layer it. But it was really good. I would definitely make it again, and of course, because Michaela loves corned beef hash, she had to have the first bite, and she loved it. She just wanted to get back to her movie. Okay, so now we're going to be making chicken salad pitas. Everybody makes their own version of chicken salad, so I boiled up 4 chicken tenders and I saved that broth with a little bit of onions and celery. I'm going to freeze that for a later date. Just wanted to share that with you really quickly that I am saving it. So here we have some chopped up cashews, some onion, some apple, celery, and red grapes. Again, you do you. You can use a different kind of nut, you can use a different kind of onion, and you could use a different grape and apple than what I used. But I love this combination so very much, and that is what I add. I just had a couple of cashews left, so we were using those instead of pecans. So I'm going in with some seasonings of onion powder, just about a half a teaspoon. You can eyeball it. I'm going to add the same amount, 1/2 teaspoon of paprika and garlic powder. And then we are going to use salt, pepper to taste. If you want to wait and do this at the end, by all means, go ahead and do that. I also used 1 cup of Duke's mayonnaise and about 3 tablespoons of yellow mustard and stirred that together. So here are my pitas. I used the whole wheat, which I actually really enjoy. And then I found this at Walmart. It's sliced jalapeno with habanero jack. It's not spicy at all. I was highly disappointed, but I meant the whole family could use it. So I guess it was a win-win after all. And so here is the chicken salad, and we're just going to go ahead and put this in the pita. Just going to make the sandwiches, and I thought I would just keep the footage rolling so you could see what I was doing. So with this, I just served up a little of pasta salad that I made, a little bow tie pasta, cucumber, tomatoes, Italian dressing, a little bit of pickle dip, and some chips, and that was dinner done. And I honestly would love to eat this every single week in the summer. It's just so good and so refreshing. You don't have to heat up your kitchen. It's a win in our family. Now I'm going to be making a vegetable pizza. We love this so very much. The only thing you're going to be cooking with this is the dough, the crescent dough. So you can see all of the vegetables that I have chosen here, and I've got some onions already chopped up. So we've got tomatoes, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, celery, mini peppers, and then I also have a cucumber and a little piece of a green onion that we used yesterday. So I also am going to top that up with some cheese. We're going to shred that up, and that's basically it. So I'm going to be pressing 2 cans of this crescent roll down in a baking sheet. You want to make sure to spray that. Please don't judge how old my pan is. It's very well loved. We use it a lot. But yes, we are going to be pressing all of those out into this baking sheet as I struggle. Once I have all of that pressed together and pinched together, I'm just going to go with a fork and poke some holes in it so the dough doesn't rise too much. And so this is what it will look like once you have it baked. Just bake it 350 and just keep an eye on it. And then I'm going with 1 block of cream cheese and then 2 big scoops of sour cream. I have a little bit of diced onion. And then we are going to go in with a half teaspoon of poppy seeds, half teaspoon of garlic powder, a half teaspoon of Italian seasoning, and the same for parsley, and then salt and pepper. You can actually use a package of ranch dressing mix if you would like. I've done that in the past. And one thing I always put in mine also is dill weed, and I did not have any fresh dill or dill weed, but I highly recommend that you add that. Ours tasted a little off because we're so used to it, so I highly recommend it, especially if you love the flavor of dill. So I'm just going to mix that up. Make sure your cream cheese is fully at room temperature, and that will make mixing so much easier, but you just want to get the lumps out. Once you have the lumps out, you're going to scoop it down onto your crust. This is going to be your sauce to hold your pizza on. Now, I can't claim credit for this recipe because I had this at church probably when I was about 9 years old, and it's just been a like potluck and but Christmas Eve like appetizer in our family for years. And I wanted it so bad for some reason this past week, and I had to make it. It was so good. And again, like some of these meals here, you don't really have to put a lot of cooking effort into, and it's so filling and so full of nutrients and vitamins with all of the vegetables. You can add other things if you'd like. I just chopped mine up really fine, as you can see here, and mixed it up really well so everything was kind of evened out, and poured it over the top of the crust and the cream cheese mixture. And then I like to take a spoon, and you'll see here in just a minute, I like to spread it out and then press it down so you don't have a lot of vegetables rolling all over the place when you're trying to take a bite of it. And then of course we're gonna go across with my favorite best friend, Colby Jack cheese. This can be custom made to whatever you would like it to taste like. If you prefer spicy cheese, use spicy. If you like mozzarella, use that. Provolone. Make it your own, and if there's vegetables that you like that you don't see here, add those. And if you don't like some of these, then you can take them away. But look how gorgeous this is, and it's so good. I did put a little bit more Italian seasoning over the top just for some added kick, and I just cut it up in squares, and that's how I served it to my family, as you can see here. Everyone honestly went back for seconds, and I think we had some, yes, we had some for the next day, and we also had it for lunch as well. Now we are going to be making unstuffed cabbage rolls. So what you need to do is brown up 1 pound of ground meat of your choice. We used beef this time. I know I usually use turkey, but this does taste better with ground beef. And when it's like almost done, I like to throw in 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. And then we were going to salt and pepper. And then we're gonna throw in 2/3 of a cup of roughly chopped onions and half of a green bell pepper. And I like to keep them in big chunks because I like them to hold their own in this dish and not get lost in the cabbage. So I've tossed that a little bit just so they start to get a little soft. And then I'm gonna go in with a roughly chopped small head of cabbage. Once this is all combined really, really well, you can add more salt and pepper if you would like, because every layer really needs seasoned. And so if you want to go back in with salt and pepper, go ahead and do that. Now that we have that stirred up, I'm going to be adding this 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes. And then I'm going to be adding about a cup of water. I just used it inside the can to get the rest of the tomatoes off. Don't want to waste it. And just stir that all the way through, and then we're going to cover it and let it simmer until the cabbage is tender. It's going to reduce down to about 1/3 of this size, half to 1/3 of that size, and it's absolutely delicious. But here we're going to be adding in some oregano, garlic powder, paprika, and turmeric, and about a half a teaspoon of mustard seed. Everything else is a half teaspoon as well. Just stir this up, and then you're going to cover it and let it simmer for about 30 minutes. Make sure to stir it about halfway through because you don't want any crunchy pieces of cabbage. And here is how the dish came out. That sauce turned out so delicious and rich, and you can actually see the seasonings on there. I like my food seasoned really, really well. I like to be able to see my seasoning on my food. It's just something crazy with me, but I do. So here is our dinner. Here it is, guys, the moment you've been waiting for. I did save that broth and I froze it until today. So we are going to be making chicken bog. So I saved 2 thighs from my latest Aldi haul, and I'm going to be using this broth. So I added this to my stock pot along with 6 cups of water, and then I'm just going to let that simmer with the broth. 1 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons of paprika. And because we are on a budget, I throw nothing out. This is a red pepper packet from one of the pizzas that we had about a month ago, and now I'm just going to be using that in here as well. I only needed a pinch, so that is what I used. And then we are going in with 2 bay leaves, and then about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, teaspoon of thyme, and this is one of my favorite Cajun seasonings, and I like to add about a teaspoon of that. And then later on I will also add a teaspoon when I add the rice. In case I don't tell you guys that I'm doing it, I'm telling you now. I do this every time. And then we're gonna go in with some salt and pepper. This is a traditional low country South Carolina dish. Really never heard of anyone else making it. I think Paula Deen did try to attempt to make it once. But anyway, this is a South Carolina dish. So if you're wondering and you've never heard of it, now you know. I also like to use 1 tablespoon of garlic. You can add more or less, but we are going to be using plain white rice, so you want a lot of flavor. I'm going to be adding 3 stalks of celery and 1 entire onion that I have chopped up. So we are going to let that simmer with the chicken and make the broth. So we're gonna go ahead and drop that in. I can already smell this is going to be amazing. I haven't made this in probably 4 years, but I don't know. I just thought about it one day and I said, you know what? I'm gonna make it because I truly, truly love it. Now, I personally prefer using Uncle Ben's original recipe boxed rice for this because I love the seasonings that come in it. But if you're not a fan of that, I suggest just using plain white rice, and we're gonna cover it and let it cook. And you can see here that the chicken has already cooked through and that broth is super, super rich. So we are going to pull the chicken out and I'm going to shred that up. I did use boneless, but if you prefer to buy it with the bone, just make sure you pull the skin and the bones off of it. I know that does add a lot more flavor, so that's perfectly fine. I just prefer to not buy chicken with any bones in it, so anything that I have to shred anyway. So we're just gonna be adding that back to the pot. Give it a quick stir to loosen up the chicken, and then we are going to make sure that we pull that bay leaf out of our water. And now we're going to be adding in 1/2 of a package of kielbasa, and I just cut that in half and then sliced it, so you should come out with like little half moon shapes. So we're going to be adding that back, and now we're going to stir it again, and we're going to let it cook for probably about 30 to 40 minutes. But before we do that, we are going to be adding in about 3 cups of rice. Now I'm going to be adding in this 1/4 cup of green onion that I diced. If you have chives, I highly recommend that because that flavor is even better, but this is what I have right now, so that's what we are going to use, but you can use either or. So we're going to cook this rice about halfway, and at the halfway point, we are going to add a 1/2 stick of butter and stir it in and let it finish cooking until the rice is done. And here is what it looks like all plated up. You can see how everything is just so tender and juicy, and the rice is perfectly cooked. This is such an amazing dish. If you've ever been to the Low Country, I hope you've ordered this because it is one dish that I absolutely love. That is what we cooked for dinner this week. Let me know in the comments below what you have cooked for dinner and what is on your menu for this week. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.